What if I try doing a YouTube intro here? I'm probably going to cut it and replace it with a good intro later, but you know what? It's fine. What's up, YouTube? We're making character sheets tonight in City of Mist. Nope, that's not good. What's up, YouTube? We're putting character sheets in... Nope, that's not right either. What's up, YouTube? We're making character sheets for City of Mist tonight using Vtubers. There, that'll have to do. Hi there, my name is Omammer, and I love City of Mist. It's been my favorite tabletop RPG since I learned about it in 2017, and I've always believed it has the single most versatile character creation system out there. Not only does it provide you with the tools to make basically any type of character you could imagine, but it also helps you map out how you'd like to see that character develop. It rewards you in play for sticking to that plan, and turn moments where you deviate from it into potential for some great dramatic scenes. But what is City of Mist? I'm glad you asked. City of Mist is an urban fantasy noir RPG inspired by Netflix's Daredevil series and published by Son of Oak Game Studio. If you're looking to get a general sense of the setting, I would recommend playing games like The Wolf Among Us, or watching movies like Who Framed Roger Rabbit or Dark City. Essentially, the whole game takes place in one nameless city, and that city has two sides. The mythos side, where everything dreamed up by human imagination, every character of every fable, myth, and fairy tale, is real and trying to reshape reality as we know it. And then there's the Logos side, which is basically just mundane reality, boring everyday life as we know it. These two sides are separated by a mysterious force called the Mist, which, if you've read Percy Jackson, it works the exact same way. It's a glamour that prevents people of the Logos world from perceiving the actions of the Mythos world. However, that doesn't mean that beings of Mythos can have no impact on the mundane world, and that's where our player characters come in. In City of Mist, you play as a Rift, someone who has been touched or claimed by a force of Mythos. Yesterday, your character may have been an ordinary bartender, but today they are awakened to the memories and powers of the Big Bad Wolf. When you awaken, you remember your destiny and the stories that you belong to that may once again be told through you. But your character had a whole life leading up to this. They have friends, responsibilities, a personal identity they're not willing to just give up on now. But even so, now they have questions, and they won't be able to rest until they get answers. Now back to the character creation. This game is powered by the apocalypse, but rather than have a single playbook, your character sheet is divided into 4 themes. These themes are divided into 2 types: Mythos and Logos. Technically there's a third, but it's not actually relevant to this video. We're just gonna ignore it for now. From our Big Bad Wolf bartender example, the Mythos themes would be any skill or power the character would have from being the Big Bad Wolf. And the Logos themes would be anything that came from their background as a bartender, or anything else in their mundane life that you think might help them solve supernatural mysteries. Each theme will come with 3 power tags and 1 weakness tag. Power tags can be added to the results of a relevant dice roll to try and boost the result, whereas weakness tags can be invoked to subtract from the results of a roll. Mythos themes will also come with a mystery, which is some burning question your character once answered. It can either be related to the theme or mythos, or something your character thinks the powers of the theme will help them get answers for. Logos themes, on the other hand, will come with an identity, something your character believes to be true about themselves. This probably will be directly related to your theme, since progression in this theme will be tied to how you engage with the identity. And leveling up your character is done through character development, by the way, both with story and game mechanics. The ways to get experience for a theme is by choosing to remain true to an identity, get answers for a mystery, overcome your weaknesses when they're invoked, or by pursuing your character's personal goals in your downtime, even if it gets in the way of the party's shared mystery. And since this is my favorite RPG, I wanted an excuse to make a video about it. So like with the Monster of the Week video, I asked VTubers on Bluesky to volunteer their characters and backstories so I could make character sheets based on them. This was originally streamed live on twitch.tv/omammervt, so be sure to follow me there too if you want to see me do this again. So first and foremost, if you watch the Monster of the Week stream where I did the same thing in Monster of the Week, we have Relay Riley coming back with Cassandra, her VTuber avatar, a tattoo artist vampire. Punk street artist before she was turned, runs a tattoo parlor where she protects her local neighborhood and trades tattoos for information and favors. Also, told me last time that we did this that Cassandra was abandoned by her sire, left to die. Now, with this character, we've got a vampire, right? Rather than look for, like we would with Monster of the Week, for a singular playbook that fits this, we are going to instead look at the story cues that we've been given. So we know that she was a punk street artist. She currently runs a tattoo parlor. And we know she's a vampire. But also, we know that she has this backstory of being backstabbed, right? And so what we can do is we can come in here and say, let's look at these. Adaptation. Adaptation can be a range of magical spells, adapting to harsh environments, shape-shifting or power copying, mysterious unpredictable force, elemental manipulation. Adaptation themes are basically an ability that allows you to adapt to your surroundings. A versatile power set that usually needs a bit of prep to work. I think that's what we're going to go with, because vampires do have a range of abilities, right? They can shapeshift, they can drain your blood, they can move fast. Basically, it's a catch-all for a whole bunch of different things that one creature can do, right? Now, when we're doing this, we have to think about, like, how does your mythos adapt to the circumstances? It has a wide range of powers, right? So answer the first question, then choose 2 more questions to answer. What mythos powers allows you to respond differently to every situation? Unholy strengths, something like that. So we have all of these different unholy strengths because we are an undead creature. Something that stands out to me here is F. What do your powers naturally protect you from? You are nearly invulnerable. You have to do something specific to a vampire to stop it. In your lore, that could either be like cutting its head off, right, and burning the body. It could be driving a stake through its heart. It could be any number of things, right, that we've seen be effective against vampires. Somewhat effective, at least. I'm trying to decide now between D, what circumstances enhance your ability to adapt, or I want to try and think of a way to add in, like, the ability to suck blood. Honestly, I might use a little trick here, because there's 2 things I want to do, and I have the ability to do both, even though I only have 1 slot left, technically. What circumstances enhance your ability to adapt? Let's say active at night, right? The idea is, like, you know, vampires come out at night, they are stronger at night, they are at their peak of power when it's nighttime, right? I know I just said that we have to have 3, but I'm going to choose a 4th one. I can do this because when we get down to here, I can choose 2 weaknesses and be allowed to take a 4th tag. So, we're going to do that here. We can do that once per character sheet. So we can't do it with all these other themes, but we will be able to do it specifically with the adaptation theme. I'm trying to think of how to do blood sucking now. How can you enhance or weaken others with your powers? That might be the answer right there. So let's say J, bloodsucker. There we go. So now we need a weakness. Weakness tag questions. Choose 1 question to answer. Well, we're going to choose 2. What are your powers of adaptivity dependent on? We're stronger at night, right? So the less sunlight there is, the better, right? So a new moon would be the peak of power for a vampire. So, dependent upon... Man, I can't think of how to say this. Okay, I know, though, for the other one, what hinders your mythos or limits its possibilities? Weakness, stake through heart. Okay, wait a minute. Is this an answer to the question? What are your powers of adaptivity dependent on? The new moon. Yeah, that's an answer to the question. All right, mystery. Choose a mystery for this theme. A question that your mythos wants to explore, investigate, or discover the answer to. Because what I'm thinking is, like, we could potentially use the sire, right? Where is my sire now? And now for the theme title. Name your theme in a way that encapsulates its nature and style. Write its name on your theme card under title. So usually you want these to be kind of like catchy but understandable. We could say this is a creature of the night. And I feel like that's fairly accurate for what we've come up with, right? Now, we've got some other notes here to go off of. Punk street artist before she was turned, and she runs a tattoo parlor. I feel like we could make something out of these. Specifically, the tattoo parlor, I'm pretty sure I can turn that into turf. It is a place that is yours, and everyone who goes there knows that you're in charge. That's the key thing, is that everyone there knows that you're in charge. We come back to our character sheet here. Then we can turn this tattoo parlor into our turf. What area or domain do you control? My tattoo shop. So she said that she trades in secrets, right? Information and favors. And she uses this place to protect her local neighborhood. So, what resources abundant? I think, yeah, let's start there. F, information and secrets. And then, how do you monitor the goings on in your turf? Here's how I'm going to do this. Trading favors. Now we need a weakness. I feel like D is an easy answer to this one. Who, what, or where is outside your turf? It's a small territory. maybe a very small territory. Now, we don't get to do extra tags here, so we get to come up with our identity, though. And I think the easy answer here is like, she uses the information trading she does here, right? She trades tattoos for information and favors, and she uses this to protect her local neighborhood. So I think the easy thing to tie in here is just, I must protect my neighbors. Boom, easy. And now, title. Cass's tattoo and info brokerage. There we go. Now, for the next theme, she was a punk street artist before she turned. And I think there's a logos theme in the core book that'll be perfect for that. A training, yes! Education, combat or martial arts training, jack of all trades, internship or apprenticeship, life experience, field record, or something that you've researched. So, for this one, what do you do or know best? Street art, just plain and simple. What other tangent field have you ventured into indirectly? As I think potentially a good answer to this. Because as a street artist, you kind of have to get in and out without getting caught, right? Because like if you get caught, then that'll be a problem. We can make that probably B or C. What other tangent field have you ventured into indirectly? Avoiding detection. What quality or trait did your training foster? Let's give her a good investigation option here. Eye for details. You notice the little things sometimes. These are our weakness tags. Who is after you due to your prominence in the field? Maybe the police? So like vampires are usually a little older than they look, right? So it could be that there's some arrest warrants out for her from the last decade or 2 or 3 decades ago, right? I don't actually know how old Cassandra is supposed to be, but we could just say some old arrest warrants. Let's see. And now we need an identity for this. I think a decent answer here, just because of what else has happened in her life, right, is that art has helped me survive. This matters to me because it has helped me survive so far. And now let's name it. What about my other art? Because, like, she's a tattoo artist by trade now, right? Oh, my other art career. There we go. All right, now for the last one. We could probably make a defining event out of the backstory that she was abandoned by her sire as a vampire, right? Think about your character's modern day life, particularly their past. Where did she come from? Where did she go? No, that's not what it says. So, what happened to you that changed your life forever? Turned into a vampire and then abandoned by my sire, right? That's a life-defining event right there. In fact, that might be 2 separate life-defining events tied to the same phenomenon. So, what kind of strong emotion do your defining event leave you with? This has got to be something that we can use. I think kind of like if we look at the rest of her life, a desire to be better than that, right? What part of your old self was deeply changed still serves you? So like we have this background as like a punk street artist, right? So I think it's going to be like, in fact, this defining event may have increased her sense of being anti-authority, right? Okay, I kind of like what knowledge did you gain access to thanks to your defining event? Because like, again, who knows how long you were a vampire? Like, you could be decades old, right? And still look like you're in your early 20s, or however old this is supposed to be. Wise beyond question mark my years. There you go. There you go. Okay, I think this is an easy one to go with. Because D is like, you literally cannot be human anymore. Like, the ability to live a just kind of mundane life was stolen from you with this one. Like, I think it all comes down to this, right? She wants to be a better guardian than the one that she had. I'll be the guardian I needed back then. Now let's name it. Let's call it a discarded creation. And that's our defining event. And that is 1 character out of the way. So, who's next on our list? We've got Goopie again. Goopie was also included in the original, like, Monster of the Week VTuber character sheets stream. Goopie is a slime girl. She runs a casino. If you remember from last time, her deal is kind of that she more or less ate the casino and now runs the place. But she also told me some additional details here. She's a slime girl that works in a magic casino, and it curses people when they lose. Maybe. Allegedly curses people when they lose. So there is in the same book where they introduced the turf, they also introduced the enclave, which is basically magic turf. The idea with this is less that it's a place where you hold, like, social power like the turf is, and more that it is a hideout, a domain that belongs to you. You don't necessarily have to share it with someone. Although it would be a completely rules as written, just completely allowed thing to just straight up make Narnia your enclave. The entire nation of Narnia as your enclave. You could do that. It would be allowed. What or where is your enclave? A magical casino. What is most useful about your enclave? Passive income. Now, that may not literally be money, as we know, but it could be. Now, what activity does your enclave best support? Gambling. Who resides in your enclave? Gamblers. What are the supernatural properties? It curses its losers. There. Now, on to our weaknesses. I don't actually know. I was gonna say, like, debtors. People who owe debts to the casino from their curses, but like, I don't want to turn that into a negative. But there would be, the truth is, a lot of people would probably be trying to escape their debts. What happens when you've spent too long in your enclave? Maybe we could go like full Lair of the Lotus Eaters from the Percy Jackson movie, and it's like, oh, you lose track of time. So choose a mystery for this theme, a question that your mythos wants to explore, investigate, or discover the answer to. I think, let's say, am I really running the show? Because it's like, if this thing has so much power and she just kind of stumbled into it, is she really running the show? Name your theme in a way that encapsulates its nature and style. The Den of Misfortune. Now we have this other pretty obvious mythos thing going on here, right? This is a slime. I think we've got a bastion, conjure armor or a shield, invulnerability, magical protection, immunity to various harm, an unbreakable body, will, or soul. I think having a very flexible, sludgy body, not speaking from experience or anything, but having that kind of form might protect you from certain types of damage. Like, I don't know, piercing or bludgeoning. Just hypothetically. You might be a little more resistant to fire, hypothetically. What quality or ability granted by your mythos most often protects you? Body made of slime. That is what protects you the most. I think the obvious one is D. What type of attack or influences is your defense effective against? Body made of slime, physically invulnerable. And now, how can you use your defense to change the odds in your favor? I kind of like this one as like, this would be a good way to like say, okay, well, my body is not a solid thing. I can change its shape. So shapeshifting. You know, some people could make an entire theme out of shapeshifting. We're just making it a single tag. Now for weaknesses. A lot of obvious weaknesses here, probably. I kind of want to take two of these. I want to take A and C, because I want to be able to say that, like, we are immune to physical damage, but not necessarily all types of magical damage. So yeah, how do your defensive powers affect your appearance? Transparently not human, because her model is transparent. And then C. To what attacks is your defense susceptible? So we got physically invulnerable, but magically vulnerable. Now let's choose one more power tag. How can you use your defense actively? Here's one we can do. You could smother someone, right? When she shapeshifts out of the human-ish form, boom, there we go. Now, on to our mystery. Choose a mystery for this theme, a question that your mythos wants you to explore, investigate, or discover the answer to. Maybe it's like, does something else want the casino? Or, okay, maybe I shouldn't phrase this in a way that's more about protecting. What might be after my casino? That's a pretty good mystery. So I don't know how we can get better than body made of slime, but like, I'm trying to think of a good way to like play off the slime thing. Maybe it's just like slimy management, because she runs a casino. I feel like I'm making her like into a worse person than she like is in her lore, but like it's what I gotta work with, right? A slimy deal? Oh, that's good. We'll go with that. We need at least one logos theme. This one's gonna be tricky. Actually, it might be pretty easy. We just continue leaning into what we've got, right? What we're gonna do is we're gonna use routine, because this lets us just like make up something that this person does in their day-to-day and how that comes into play when they're investigating with it. So routine, a job or occupation, political position, role in an organization. I think managing a casino is a thing that's going to take up a lot of your day. So like, I take care of the magic casino, right? What do you do with your time? Casino manager. So we've kind of established that like the casino curses the people who lose in it, right? So that curse is probably like some form of debt, like cosmic debt to the casino. And I bet she has some way of using that. So this might be where we get to bring that into play. That's the perk of managing the casino. What sort of tools do you use? Who helps you? What did you learn? Okay, I like this one. G, what trick have you picked up doing what you do? The house always wins. Knows how to rig the game in her favor. Now, what about weaknesses? At the end of the day, what are you left with? What are the mundane limits or downsides of your routine? I feel like this would take up a lot of time. The only real staff is me. Now we need an identity. Maybe just, it's nice to be in charge. And now let's title it, I am the manager. Now, on to that last one. The idea that I had, personality. And I already know what I'm going to call this one. A winning smile. Because the idea is that, like, it's that you have the charisma, the, like, people reading skills, the drawing people in ability that, you know, your typical, like, they want people to have at the casino, that, like, they want you to like the guy that you're interacting with enough to trust him until he fleeces you. What lies at the core of your personality? People pleaser. What interpersonal skills do you have thanks to cold reading? The most important ability for any confidence artist, or con artist, however you want to phrase it. What aspect of your personality keeps you safe or helps you resist influence? People let their guard down around me, right? Poker face is good. Poker face is very good, actually. That might be better than my thing. Weakness tags. Call your bluff. Oh, yeah, like someone who's able to see through con artists. That would be the thing that stops any con artist, is someone who can see through the scheme, right? I like that. Called bluff. That's pretty good. Now we need an identity, and then we're done. People let their guard down around me, I think, is a pretty good identity here. We are on to the third character of the night, Broto the Goblin. I could easily make a theme out of literally every single aspect that he said about her character. Goblin would be just some mythos theme. Logos, we've got all kinds of stuff here. Let's go ahead and start with the Goblin thing. I actually don't have a good idea for what kind of mythos theme this would be, is the one problem. Since we're trying to do one kind of thing that, like, encapsulates the entirety of goblinness, adaptation might work, because that's what we did for vampire as well. What mythos power allows you to respond differently to every situation? So, I don't know, small but mighty. Do goblins have any special powers, or are they just, like, little guys? Small, grotesque, monstrous humanoid creature that appears in folklore of multiple European cultures. Conflicting abilities, temperament, and appearances depending on the story and country of origin. I think we're gonna go with the mischievous stuff, right? We got two things that I want to lean into here, is like being small and being a little prankster. So, okay, I've got an idea. So, we've already said here that she's got engineer training, right? Potentially, within that, some tinkering and sabotage potential, right? So, what narrow group of effects within your mythos domain have you mastered? Sabotage. I kind of want to say, like, for H, I kind of like having a bag of tricks. You just got a little bag full of things that you can throw out, like, I don't know, caltrops or something. Now, on to weaknesses. What bad habits did you pick up due to your adaptive powers? I don't know, maybe takes things too far? Now we need a mystery and a title. We could do something like, I don't know, how can I improve my potion shop? It's not really a rich vein for, like, character development, but we've got 3 other potential mysteries and identities to work with, so I think it'll be fine. They don't all have to be winners. So then we got engineering and tinkering, tech gadgets, building random stuff. I think I'm going to start with the turf for this one. I know we made the tattoo shop the thing last time. This time it's going to be a potion shop. What area or domain do you control? A potion shop. What resource is abundant in your turf? Potions. What advantage do you have over your competition in your turf? I promise my products work. I gotta go with that for the answer to this, I think. My products work. That would give you an advantage over other potion shops, if the implication is that theirs don't. Alright, so what's our weakness? What kind of trouble typically haunts your potion seller? I'm going into battle, and I require your strongest potion. You can't handle my strongest potion. Just that one guy who always thinks he can handle a better potion than he actually can. Who or what undermines you? Guys, can I say who or what undermines you is the potion seller? I can't do that, right? That's not a good weakness. I could say, though, like, okay, to cut the meme out of it, what we can do is just say dissatisfied customers. Allergic to potions. I don't think we can decide that. But my potions are the strongest potions. There's an identity for you. Now for a title. A humble shopkeep. Let's see, we've got a couple other things here. Gardening routine and engineer training is what I think we're going to go with next. So let's start with the routine. What routine activity takes up most of your time? Tending my garden. We got that going for us. I imagine if you're a gardener who owns a potion shop, I imagine that you would have a lot of ingredients on hand. And then what sort of tools do you use? Let's see, you've got all kinds of tools as a gardener. But like gardener's tools is a pretty good description. It's got a lot of things in it that you could potentially use for a lot of non-gardening things. Wink, wink. This model can't wink. What can interfere with your routine? I feel like it's kind of the same thing here. It's like the demands of running a shop may interfere with the gardening, even though the gardening helps you run the shop, right? So, I don't know, work-life balance. There we go. Choose an identity for this theme. Strong potions require strong base materials. Now for a title. Nature's Bounty. Seems like a fitting thing. And now on to the training. Think about your character's modern day life. What is your field of expertise? So we are a tinkerer. We're an engineer. We make things. Electronic gadgets. Answer the first question. What do you do or know best? Gadgeteer. So within your field of expertise, at which specific skill or subject you excel? I'm going to go ahead and answer this one with inventing. So this is a character who I feel like is going to be like a massive like support role character. You've got access to all these potions and raw materials. This character is going to be rolling a lot of change the games. What quality or trait did your training foster? I'm going to say creative problem solving. Now, onto weaknesses. I kind of think what is the most problematic flaw in your technique? It might just be like self-taught. Because like everything else about this character is so heavily focused on like maintaining stuff for this potion shop, right? And so like this could just be like a hobby in your spare time. So you don't necessarily have formal training in it. Now, what do we title this thing? The Tinkerer. No, that's the name of a Marvel villain. I don't think we can just call it that. Man, all of my cleverness has left me ever since Potion Seller's Strongest Potion ran through my brain. Goblin Gadgeteer I feel like works. Also, we need an identity for this. I totally forgot about the identity. There's no problem I can't solve. So, there we go. On to our final one of tonight. This one I've been excited about. Ruiyi Smallbird. I don't know if you are familiar with the RPG Thirsty Sword Lesbians. She did a hack of the game called Toxic Sword Lesbians, which, first off, added Toxic Yuri to a game that is about Yuri. Every single problem I had with Thirsty Sword Lesbians was fixed by making the game about Toxic Yuri. This is her. She's a VTuber. Anyway, so what did she say? Doesn't have lore so much as a vague running bit about being an eldritch entity with questionable relationship to reality who is also a writer. So, that is who we're ending on. I actually didn't give as much thought to what her themes could be. Though I did, there's a character in the pre-gens called Declan Lestrange. Lestrange is a dubious antiques dealer and gunslinger, has been around long enough to know his way through the world, and he began living in a dream. This is why I thought it was maybe a fitting thing, is because he has a questionable grasp with reality himself, sensing limitless possibilities that sometimes manifest through him, although he can't control it. So I kind of thought that I'd work off basically the idea of his mythos. I guess let's get to work. We know we've got training, right, as a writer. Let's start with that, because we know we have that. What do you do or know best? And I think it's kind of implied that it's creative writing. Within your field of expertise, which specific skill or subject you excel? Let's say the strange and unexplainable. Or the strange and bizarre is probably a better fit. What piece of equipment related to your training do you normally have access to? Writing utensils. Those are our powers. What's our weakness? What is the most problematic flaw in your technique? I think we can kind of go off of, let's say D, and then tied to our strange and bizarre, loose grasp on reality. That gives us a pretty good weakness, I think. Now, let's see. On to our identity. I write what I see. What I see is questionable. There we go. Already kind of getting into the loose grasp on reality. I actually think we could use a divination theme. Because, like, if the loose grasp on reality is tied to a supernatural phenomenon, then it could be that she's seeing things that are there, but only she can perceive, right? That's a leg up in an investigation. What allows you to uncannily know things you wouldn't normally know? Seeing what could be. What subject is easiest for you to learn about? The incomprehensible. And then I kind of think we could probably answer D, right? What items or substances serve as a conduit for your knowledge? My writing. But then I also think we can use that down here. How can you affect others with your power? Show them what I see. So this isn't just something that we're stuck with. We can inflict it on others for a minute. So we got to choose 2 weaknesses if we're going to do that. What happens when your divination overwhelms you? I think you can see too much sometimes, maybe, right? What must you have in order to use your divination? She's got glasses, right? Can't see without my glasses. Perfect. Can't see without my glasses. Choose a mystery for this theme. A question that your mythos wants you to explore, investigate, or discover the answer to. Are these visions real, or am I making them real? I kind of like that, because that leans into, we've got another theme from Shadows and Showdowns that I feel like can be used with that. Conjuration. Creating fantastical beings or objects through sorcery, by summoning them from someone's dreams, by constructing them from the environment, by opening a portal to another realm, by giving birth to them or forming them out of one's body. So, if we can show other people what we can see, maybe we can manifest them as well. Also, I didn't name the theme. Whoops. I didn't name either of these. Writer of, in parentheses, non-fiction. And then for divination, let's see. I don't know, double vision might be a good descriptor. Anyway, conjuration. What can you conjure into existence? Other eldritch entities? Or what about, like, things from beyond? There we go. How does your conjuration fight for you or promote your cause? Horrific apparitions, right? I'm not actually all that, like, up on Lovecraftian lore. I played, like, 1 game of Call of Cthulhu, and it was I didn't like it. I'm gonna say for F, foes flee in fear. There we go. That's an answer. Weakness tags. In what ways do your conjurations get out of hand? B is the answer, right? Because we don't actually understand the things we're summoning. Just dabbling with forces you can't comprehend, you know? That never ends poorly for anyone. Alright, so we need a mystery. Choose a mystery for this theme. What do these apparitions really want? I think that works. And now for a title. Maybe it's just forces I can't understand, or beyond my comprehension. And now we gotta come up with one last theme. I have not gotten more ideas since working on the other ones. I really was hoping I would. Okay, so my mobility idea though, let's focus on that for a minute. Which is like kind of leaning more into the Declan Lestrange side of things. Like he's half dreaming all the time and it allows him to see infinite possibilities that he can manifest, right? That's his power set. But what if we had an ability that was like that called like dream walking or something, where it's like you can actually pass through to other places by imagining yourself there. You see things that aren't there. Maybe you can go places that you aren't actually, if that makes sense. I don't know how else to say that. But yeah, I think that's how we can play this. What is your mythos' most useful form of movement? Can be where I imagine I am. What allows you to avoid restraints or confinement? Was never there. What allows you to move others? I think like you could probably take anyone with you who's touching you, right? How do I say that again in a simple terms? I think I just gotta say take them with me. Because it's like, if you're stepping somewhere and like, it's not where you were a second ago, and you want to bring someone with you, then you could imagine them there too. Why not? Oh, that's it. Imagine them there. That's how we do that. We just have to imagine them there and they're there. That's also how the forces beyond my comprehension get here. Let's see, weaknesses. So many weaknesses related to this. I want to say B, and the answer to that is that not everywhere I imagine is real. So you could just leave yourself and a friend stranded in a place that doesn't actually exist. So we need a mystery for this. Can I reach the place I dream about? Now for a title. I kind of want to go with Dreamwalker. Perfect. All right, well, that was all our characters, guys.